Well, folks, it's the day a lot of you had circled on your calendars. Lightning versus Panthers, first time regular season. Are we expecting anything crazy in this game? We'll talk about it on today's Locked on Lightning.
You're Locked on Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked on Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we want to begin with a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune into every single show, every single day. We love you. We appreciate the support you give us week in, week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I am joined by the Matthew to my Brady, Greg Steven. Greg, welcome in and happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Battle of Florida coming up. Pretty fun one.
Yeah, especially what happened during the last Battle of Florida.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing like that one, but we'll see.
We need to dive into that because I think the big question we're asking is, what are we expecting from this game? Are we expecting any more shenanigans, or are we just expecting a, heated hockey game between two rivals? The other question we have to ask is, what's been going on with Brayden Point? A little bit of a slow star in the stat sheet, and as a lot of you guys have pointed out on social media, on Reddit lately, Brayden Point just kind of looks a little bit off, and we agree. So we're going to dive into his game. Plus, if you haven't heard or you didn't get the joke at the top of the show, the Kucherov Brothers have a podcast now, apparently. And that got us thinking, if you could pick two Lightning players to start a Kelce Brothers-esque podcast, who would it be and why? It's a fun Friday topic that we'll get to coming up in just 1 minute. But first, let's start with the big game this weekend, Greg. Yeah. Battle of Florida, Lightning taking on the Florida Panthers down in the Everglades-ish area. I think, like if you've ever been to their Panthers arena, it's kind of right smack dab in the middle of Florida swampland.
Yeah. Sunrise.
Not quite the Miami Mr. 305 experience that you're expecting when you go to one of those games. But this is the first time, Greg, as we mentioned, that these two teams have faced each other since that, let's call it, controversial preseason game. The Lightning took a lot of fines. Jon Cooper was fined. Obviously, we saw Scott Sabourin suspended for 4 games. We saw JJ Moser suspended for a hit in that one. There's still a lot of, I think, feelings lingering. I think, there's obviously, I think, some sentiment from both teams about their perception of what exactly happened and what the punishment the NHL handed down afterwards. So I ask you, Greg, when these two teams hit the ice this Saturday, what type of game do you think we're going to see?
It's a great question. I think it's going to be a tight, close 1-goal game, and I do expect there to be some rough stuff, but I don't think we're going to see something that mirrors what happened in the most recent preseason game. I think that was an anomaly. But that being said, I think there will be some serious physicality in this game.
I agree. And I kind of agree from the standpoint of, look, at the end of the day, these are just two rivals fighting for position in the standings.
Yeah.
So it's going to be physical no matter what, even if you take the context of that last game out.
Right.
The only question I have, Greg, is, and I want to get your take on this, is how do these two teams, go into this game handling the quote unquote perceived unfinished business? Because look, Scott Sabourin, unless some players suddenly get healthy, is probably going to be in the lineup for this one.
Yeah.
And, the Panthers fans obviously don't like that he started going toe to toe with Ekblad.
Mhm.
That was unfinished business from last year, in which Brandon Hagel got hit. Brandon Hagel got hit before, and Lightning fans still have some perceived AJ Greer needing to answer the bell
Right.
feelings from what happened in the preseason game before the finale. And then
Mhm.
also you have, remember, Zemgus Girgensons missed the first few weeks of the season because of a Carter Verhaeghe hit.
Yep.
Carter Verhaeghe is not exactly, an enforcer, somebody that you expect to fight, but I think
Right.
there's still some perception of he's, the Lightning owe him one. It's interesting because you thought that last game was sort of the Lightning's response to settle the score, but yet there's still these individual storylines that don't feel quite resolved yet. And the fans are going to be wanting something to happen, right?
Yeah, I think so. And this is why I think it will be a particularly rough game, just because, like you said, there are some unresolved issues, if you will.
Mhm.
But it also goes back to, how did the Lightning handle this game? Because if your roster is as beat up as it currently is, and we were talking about this yesterday, do you really want to skate guys who are maybe just coming back? I think that's a tough question, because you don't really know exactly how Florida plans to respond. Um, but I sit Hagel in this game. I don't want him getting hurt again. He just got hit up high, and he's been taking a lot of high body injuries, let's call them. Um, that being said, I think you want to win this game. This is
Yeah.
4 points, and this is a team that you don't want to see in the playoffs. I think the Lightning need to take this game very seriously, as seriously as they can, given the list of injuries they have. But they need to toe that line, because you put everyone in that's getting healthy right now, it can cause some problems. I mean, I don't want to see Hagel out there, really. I don't even know if I really want to see Sorelli out there.
Yeah.
It
I
coaching
it's
right here.
Mhm. Yeah, well, you're right. And it is a situation that you're going to have to keep in mind, and not just the fact that, look, I don't think the Panthers are going to put in all their minor leaguers for this one.
No.
Yeah, like I don't think you're going to see like a lot of last second call ups before this game,
Right.
because this is a regular season game, Greg.
Mhm.
And I think that, Paul Maurice is going to tell his team the exact same thing that Jon Cooper tells his team. It's like, look, this is a rivalry. This is emotional. We know we don't like each other, but look where we're at right now. We just started building some momentum.
Right.
For the Lightning 7-3 loss aside, but the Florida Panthers are also a lot better now than they were at the start of the season. We're
Mhm.
trending in the right direction. We have a lot of players that we needed to get going who are now finally starting to get going. This is an important game. Like this is, obviously you never say must win this early in the season by any stretch of the imagination. That's not what this game is, but it's a game that you desperately, I think, want to win. A, to kind of establish that early season, like where you're at. B, to beat your rival. And I think
Yeah.
that is going to be the message for both of these teams is, look, play hard, play physical, but at the end of the day, we're trying to win this game. So don't
Right.
play stupid.
Yes.
I think that
Completely
is,
agree.
and I think that's going to be the fine line that both coaches and teams are going to have to manage heading into this game.
Agreed. I think this is going to look like a very competitive playoff game. That's how I'm looking
Yeah.
at it right now.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to bring in the physicality a little up a notch from maybe a regular season game, if you will. But yeah, it's going to be pretty physical. Again, I think it's going to be a pretty tight game, unless we see what we talked about yesterday, a little stumbling Vasi.
Yeah.
But assuming he locks in, I think it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah. We will see probably Curtis Douglas out there. I'm just going to say that.
Oh yeah, I think so
I
too.
think Curtis Douglas is going to be the guy that's out there for the just in case anything happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's when you talk about the game itself and not in the context of what happened last time, Yeah, this is going to be a good game because,
Oh, yeah.
the Florida Panthers, again, started slow. Brad Marchand has been absolutely on fire. I think, you're seeing the leadership and the experience of Brad Marchand because he's really kind of taken the team on his back. With Kachuk and Barkov out of the lineup. Sam Reinhart has 10 goals this year. It's going to be interesting. And these are two teams that, obviously, I think both are considered front runners for the Stanley Cup. Florida more so when they finally get healthy. Yeah, this is going to be a game that I think sets the tone for the rest of the season and maybe gives us a preview of, some early bragging rights for the division.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just such a fun rivalry to watch, especially over the last few years. It's just developed and developed and developed, and here we are. And you know what you really need in this game to win? You need Brayden Point.
Yeah. And that is something that the Lightning haven't exactly had recently, or at least to the extent that we're used to seeing.
Mm,
What is up with Brayden Point? His numbers are a little bit low this year, and as a lot of fans have mentioned, just doesn't look the same. We're going to dive into his game and try to figure out what's going on when we come back in just 1 minute. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, guys. Most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track of your finances, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface, either on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch was awesome. All I did was log on for the first time. I uploaded all of my bank accounts, my credit cards, my investments, and within seconds, I could see categorization of my spending so I know where my money's going. It gave me SMART goals so I can start planning for the future a little bit better. All of this without having to touch a spreadsheet. It helped me understand where my money is going and how to make it work harder for me. So if you want to try this, don't let this opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. Again, monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Welcome back to Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And Greg, let's dive into the complicated topic of Brayden Point. Obviously, numbers this year, not exactly Brayden Point-esque. Just 9 points in 16 games, including 3 goals, 3 assists. Just 2 points dating back to October 25th. So it's been a handful of games that we haven't really exactly seen that impact from that number one center for the Lightning. And to top it all off, a team worst, Greg, minus 11 for Brayden Point. So I got to ask, what's going on with number 21?
It's so difficult to watch because, like you said, team worst minus 11, and the next worst is minus 4.
Yeah.
And the guys who are minus 4 don't have 9 points either, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. There have been plays that I see him make, and he just looks like he's almost like soft on his stick sometimes. He's had several passes in his normal slot in front of the goal from Cooch specifically, where they just slip right under his stick, and I don't know why. He doesn't look fully there. I don't know what it is. It's difficult to explain because he still skates about 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
It's not like he's not getting the ice time. It's not like he's not playing with Kucherov. I don't really understand. I kind of figured, yeah, you go through cold streaks. We kind of saw that in the beginning of the season with Kuch, right? And then he turned it around. But Point, he really hasn't figured it out yet, and I don't get it. Do you have a theory?
I don't have a theory, but I think what's happening is he's not, I think, controlling the play as much as we're used to seeing. if you look at some of his underlying numbers, they're not horrible. Expected goals percentage is 50.23, which, he faces a lot of top line talent. So that's fine. It is 20th on the team right now, which is a little bit different. Corsi 4 is like kind of low. I mean, 49.89, which means the other team is getting the majority of the shots while he's on the ice. But again, like, you can kind of forgive that early in the season because he's your top line and he's going against other top lines. That's kind of average for, a number one line. But maybe that's the problem, is it's average. And over the past few years, we see those numbers from Point and Kucherov very, very high.
Yeah.
Because they're so good at kind of controlling the play. When they're on the ice, typically they have the puck because they're so good at winning the puck and keeping the puck and setting up a play for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We just haven't seen that yet. And it's I know, like, some people, when this topic of conversation has come up online a few times, and I know some people have said that maybe he looks a little bit snake bitten. I mean, he did have like 3 shots off the post very early in the season.
Right.
But it's also like, God, how many games have you and I covered, Greg, that we just kind of didn't talk about Brayden Point because we just didn't really notice him?
Right.
Like,
he looks unremarkable.
We didn't have an impact of the game. And even, even when Brayden Point wasn't like the leading scorer or anything, when he's like, I like averaging a point a game, which is still very good.
Yeah.
Even on games where he didn't score, you could see him making a big defensive play or coming up, with a very solid forecheck very late to kind of make it harder for the other team to try to get going out of their own zone. We kind of saw that, and we're just not seeing that from Brayden Point this year.
Right. And I've also been used to noticing him on defense every so often. And I can't say that I have even once this season so far. And that's probably why he's minus 11, to be honest with you. The way I handle this, if I'm Coop, is I'm shuffling. I think maybe you try and find him some life with someone else,
I think my only counter to that is who? Because in theory, is anybody... Like, are you going to find somebody that's going to get your offense going better than Nikita Kucherov, who he's been with? And I think also they've been skating, Jake Gensel on that top line too, who is very good. And he's also had time with Brandon Hagel, who's really hot right now. So it's almost like I get it. Like, this is typically where you might give him a shakeup, but it's also like who are better offensive line mates that's going to get him more going.
You're not wrong, but sometimes it's less about better and more about different,
Okay.
And this also opens an opportunity to put someone else with Cooch and kind of play around there. But even if you throw him on the Sorelli Hagel line, and just see what happens. Doesn't have to be permanent, but he needs something. I don't know how else you even handle it, to be honest with you. I don't think you scratch him ever. He's not doing anything egregiously like to affect their game, in my opinion. I mean, I guess being minus 11 is not good, but
yeah. Well, and I know plus minus isn't the perfect stat,
right?
But it does tell you that Brayden Point is on the ice for a lot more opposing teams' goals than he's been on the ice for Lightning goals, and which means when he's on the ice, the other team is dominating the Lightning. That's not great,
right? And to be fair, to give him a little bit, it's not like Cooch has been playing excellent defense lately either. So if your line mate is also not fantastic on D, it doesn't help you. But I don't know. I think I give it a shakeup. I don't think I do it in this Cats game, to be honest with you. but maybe in the Canucks game, if
Well,
things are still cold. What?
Who do you have to shake things up with right
Yeah,
now?
I was gonna say that's why
Yeah.
you can't really do it.
Yeah, you don't really have anybody right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're just putting everyone in now. You just shove them in
Yeah,
there.
why not? Yeah. Brayden Point meets Scott Sabourin. That's a
Yeah.
new one. Scott Sabourin and Curtis Douglas. Let's see anybody try to take the puck off of Brayden Point now.
You just get a fast little guy and then two large men.
Yeah. It's kind of like back when like Steve Yzerman first came into the league and had like Joe Kosher and Gerard Gallant as his line mates. And it was basically like, yeah, you don't touch the rookie.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, so it's going to be a big game tomorrow. It is a 5:00 puck drop in Florida. If anybody feels like making a trip down, hey, and also we didn't even mention the Lightning have a second game this weekend against the Vancouver Canucks on Sunday. So it's going to be a big doubleheader to break down on Monday when we resume our weekly content for Locked On Lightning. But still have some stuff to get to today. The Matthew and Brady Tkachuk podcast is about to launch. It's a Kelce Brothers-esque podcast, and that got us thinking, if you could pick any two Lightning players to start their own New Heights-esque podcast, who would it be and why? We'll dive into that question when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by Drip Drop. Guys, I know when I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, my energy, my mood, even my skin. This doesn't keep up with itself, everybody. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I love using Drip Drop as part of my daily routine. All I do is mix a packet in my water bottle before the gym or before recording this podcast, shake it up, drink it down, and I am ready to beat that midday slump. I don't feel dehydrated during the day. I don't feel like needing to take a nap, and I feel energy. I feel energetic. I feel sharp and mentally focused for whatever the day throws at me. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. Again, dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at your best with Drip Drop. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season, it's officially in full swing, folks, and nothing beats being in the arena for those awesome games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that seem to jump right before you hit checkout, it's easy to get frustrated, and all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Game Time is the first app I open whenever I want to go anywhere, whether it's a hockey game, whether it's another sporting event, whether it's a concert or comedy show. I pull up Game Time, I check the section I want to see, and I can see the best deals available for me. They have zone deals that are a game changer where all you have to do is pick the section and Game Time picks your seats for you, leading some big savings. Plus, one of my favorite things is that I can see the view of my seats, where exactly what they are before I hit add to cart. That way I'm not surprised by any behind the bar or, big beams sitting in front of me. I get great views and I know exactly what I'm getting into. So if you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, here's what you have to do. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Welcome back to Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And Greg, the big news around the NHL this week, just like, us, 2 more white people are getting a podcast. Brady and Matthew Tkachuk Uh, we're playing into the stereotype. It's fine. Brady and Matthew Tkachuk are starting their own podcast. It is going to be produced by the same people who produce New Heights, which is the Kelce Brothers podcast. It's set to launch here soon. They, guess people just need something to do during long-term IR tenure. First off, thoughts on the Tkachuk brothers getting a podcast, Greg?
Blunt honesty?
Yeah.
I do not care. I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. Don't care what they have to say. I think they're great dudes, but I'm just not a podcast guy.
I mean, you're running a podcast right now.
Well, I'm a yapper. Yeah. I'm not a listener,
Yeah. I don't know. I listen to the Locked On NHL people. I love a good listen. I love some inside baseball, or in this case, inside hockey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you gonna tune in?
I might listen to an episode or two, depending on what the thing is. I mean, I listened to the Taylor Swift on New Heights just because I thought it was going to be interesting.
Was it?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she dropped Life of a Showgirl.
I don't know what that is, but
it's her. Get with the times, man. It's her new album. Anyway, yeah, Wingman with Matthew and Brady Tkachuk will be, quote, a weekly podcast that, quote, features two brothers, one mic, and absolutely no filter. Because if there's one complaint about the Tkachuk brothers, it's that they have too much of a filter.
right.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. But the biggest question I have, Greg, is this got you and I thinking, if you could pick any two Lightning players to start a buddy podcast together, who would it be and why?
Okay, the first one is JJ Moser. And why?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know how much a lot of the people listening know about JJ Moser, but outside of hockey, he's a really interesting guy. I don't know if you know this. He's a painter. Do you know that?
Oh, I actually did not know that about JJ Moser.
Yeah, no. He's like he paints, like fully paints. He just has a lot of very unique hobbies, and he's a very insightful gentleman. And I think that he'd have a lot to say and offer and teach me. I would 100% listen to JJ Moser.
Okay. You know who I would pair JJ Moser with then?
Who?
Because that sounds fun. Is Charles-Edouard Desto.
Whoa.
Because this is a guy who's had, we've talked about it on the show before, just like a wild career journey.
Right.
I think it was like 4 years ago, maybe 5. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head how long he played in Europe, but he was playing in the ECHL, the third tier of North American hockey, and was kind of just being called up to the AHL sparingly. Went to Europe, played in Sweden, played in Finland, and just out of the blue, Lightning wanted some, minor league depth, brought him over, and look at him now, 3 weeks into coming back into North American hockey, he's playing in the NHL and has a regular spot in the lineup. I feel like his career journey, plus just the places he'd been, all the teams he's been to, I feel like he would be just a really good storyteller in telling some of his insight.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that would be a fun one to have on there.
Yeah. I'm going to have another podcast for you though, Greg, because when you look at the Kelce brothers, Travis is a little bit straight-laced. You can tell he's definitely got some personality, some fire. But at the end of the day, he's kind of the one that's a little bit more level-headed. Jason's the hype guy. Jason is the guy that you see on TV, taking off his shirt in 10-degree weather and just twisting it around his head.
Yep.
He's the wild card of all this. So I want to see a podcast. Nikita Kucherov.
Yep.
Is the absolute hype guy. He's Jason Kelce, where he's just sitting there shirtless, cracking cold ones, and and shooting the breeze with whoever's on. And give me Jon Cooper.
Whoa.
Yeah, give me Jon Cooper and Nikita Kucherov having a podcast together. Because look at Coop. he's got great personality. We love like hearing like all those quirky little sound bites. We love hearing his sass, but he's also straight laced. He can be like very level headed when he needs to. And look, watch any of the Lightning's Cup celebrations and tell me you don't want to see those two people on a podcast together.
Nikita Kucherov has some of the funniest interviews I've ever seen. You know, I was actually showing someone yesterday the interview where he's on the boat next to the famous streamer Tfue, and he's just slamming Bud Lights, and he has no shirt on. I feel like anytime he's really happy, he's got no shirt on. He's just in there fully, you know?
Yeah.
Super funny guy.
Yeah, I love, or just take the opportunity to, celebrate his Stanley Cup with just ripping the Montreal fans for no reason whatsoever. Just be like, are you kidding me? Number one,
he's just sliding Bud Lights across the table.
He's like, number one BS.
Yeah.
Tell me you don't want to see those two guys on a podcast together.
It is funny.
Hey, you know another great podcast duo, Greg? Nick Morgan and Greg Stephen. And you can catch us every week on Locked on Lightning. Be sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us, whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're listening in your favorite platform. Hitting subscribe not only helps us out, but it also lets you guys know when we have new content for us. Also, keep tabs on our social media pages. We have a TikTok, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter at Locked on Lightning. For all those places, be sure to find us. Keep tabs on us throughout the week. That's going to do it for us on this week's Locked on Lightning. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We'll be back with Battle of Florida recap and Lightning versus Canucks recap on Monday. We'll see you then.